Just leave it running. Just leave it. Just
Right there, right there. Right there.
Oh, shit. Okay.
All right, that's the first rank. Yeah.
Oh, I take a video. I am. Started. Keep hitting us as we just I think so too. You said, don't feel bad. My dad's not the tallest. Becca, be careful of the leg. Your dad's the shortest.
Good afternoon.
1 minute.
Two of you got it. Thank you, crew. I didn't expect the guests to say anything, but I figured the crew. Hi. All right. There you go. All right. I would like to welcome everyone to the pinning of our fiscal year 14 Chief Petty Officers. This time, I would ask that everyone silence their cell phones. Good, sir? All right. I'm Command Master Chief John Moore. I'm the chief of the boat. Standing in front of you today are the Navy's newest Chief Petty Officers. Today they are joining a proud and strong 120-year-old tradition of Chief Petty Officer leadership in our Navy. Their advancement is well earned, and we welcome them into our midst. I will now introduce our new chiefs and their sponsors. From your right to left, we have Machinist Mate Chief James King. Behind him is his sponsor, FTC Tyler Whitener. Machinist Mate Derek Piper. Behind him is his sponsor, ETC Charles Jones. Electronics Technician Chief Robert Bosars. Behind him is his sponsor, Sonar Tech Senior Chief Blake Dean. Electronics Technician Chief Aaron Mugenberg. Behind him is his sponsor, Brad May. Electronics Technician Chief William Varnador. Behind him is his sponsor, ETC Jeffrey Thoreau. The sponsors stand behind their selectees as a symbol of our support and as welcome into the Chiefs' quarters. They have successfully guided their charges through the challenging last few months and stand with them today as they join in our ranks. Chief Select James King will now speak on behalf of the new Chiefs and present their speech embarking their journey into our time-honored tradition.
Good morning, crew, family, and friends of the USS Pennsylvania. Thank you for joining us today. Today marks a transition of myself and the new chief standing here today in a new chapter in our lives. Over the course of the last few weeks, we've learned a few things. Prioritization. Previously, we depended on the chief to make a decision for the priority for us. Today, we are the chief. We have learned that we are responsible for those decisions. More importantly, we have the power to make them. The next lesson we've learned is teamwork. Many of the tasks we were given were not possible done alone in the time we had to get them done. We had to learn to work together. Finally, we learned about trust. In submarines, there's always some level of trust because of the nature of our jobs. However, we had to learn to trust each other in a more intimate level. The things we were doing directly affected the quality of life. If any of us failed to do our respective tasks, we all suffered for it. If we all accomplished what we expected each other to get done, we succeeded. Together, we are powerful. Thank you again for joining us today and witnessing us in our pinning.
At this point, we will be inviting family members up in order to pin our new chiefs. Chief James King, one step forward. Chief Select James King is joined today in being pinned by his wife, Mrs. Amy King. Amy, will you please join Chief Whitener up front for the pinning of James's anchors? Chief King, remember who you now are. You must wear these anchors with pride and behave in a way that will always protect them from any stain. Chief Select Derek Piper, one step forward. Chief Select Piper is joined today and is being pinned by his wife, Mrs. Shannon Piper. Shannon, will you please join Chief Jones up front for the pinning of Derek's anchors? Chief Piper, remember who you now are. You must wear these anchors with pride and behave in a way that will always protect them from any stain. Chief Select Bosars, one step forward. Chief Select Bosars is joined today and is being pinned by his wife, Mrs. Christy Bosars, and his daughter, Ryan. Christy and Ryan, will you please join Senior Chief Dean up front for the pinning of his anchors?
Move your head. Just wait.
Chief Bosars, remember who you now are. You must wear these anchors with pride and behave in a way that will always protect them from any stain. Chief Select Aaron Mugenberg, one step forward. Chief Select Mugenberg is joined today and is being pinned by his parents, Mr. Richard and Mrs. Marilyn Mugenberg. Richard and Marilyn, will you please join Chief May up front for the pinning of Aaron's anchors? Chief Mugenberg, remember who you are now. You must wear these anchors with pride and behave in a way that will always protect them from any stain. Chief Select William Varnador, one step forward. Chief Select Varnador is joined today and is being pinned by his wife, Mrs. Nikki Varnador. Nikki, will you please join Chief Thoreau up front for the pinning of his anchors?
No. Sit down. Sit.
Chief Arnador, remember who you are now. You must wear these anchors with pride and behave in a way that will always protect them from any stain. We will now present the new chiefs with their combination covers. Sponsors, please take your new chief's hat from the table and return to your place behind them. These hats are symbolic of our community and will be presented as the men hear our creed read for the first time as chiefs. Listen closely, chiefs, for all that we are as chief petty officers can be found in this creed. Sponsors, place your combination covers on the new chief's heads.
Nikki, move your head.
Chief, Senior Chief, and Master Chief Petty Officers, both past and present, please rise and remain standing for the reading of the Creed. During the course of this day, you have been caused to humbly accept challenge and face adversity. This you have accomplished with rare good grace. Pointless as some of these challenges may have seemed, there were valid, time-honored reasons behind each pointed barb. It was necessary to meet these hurdles with blind faith in the fellowship of Chief Petty Officers. The goal was to instill in you that trust is inherent in the donning of the uniform of a chief. It was our intent to impress upon you that challenge is good, a great and necessary reality which cannot mar you, which in fact strengthens you. In your future as a Chief Petty Officer, you will be forced to endure adversity far beyond that imposed upon you today. You must face each challenge and adversity with the same dignity and good grace you demonstrated today. By experience, by performance, and by testing, you have been this day advanced to the rank of Chief Petty Officer. In the United States Navy, and only in the United States Navy, the rank E7 carries with it unique responsibilities and privileges you are now bound to observe and expected to fulfill. Your entire way of life is now changed. More will be expected of you. More will be demanded of you. Not because you are an E7, but because you are a Chief Petty Officer. You have not merely been promoted one pay grade, you have joined an exclusive fellowship. And as in all fellowships, you have a special responsibility to your comrades, even as they have a special responsibility to you. This is why we, the United States Navy, may maintain with pride our feelings of accomplishment once we have attained the position of Chief Petty Officer. Your new responsibilities and privileges do not appear in print. They have no official standing. They cannot be referred to by name, number, nor file. They have existed for over 100 years because chiefs before you have freely accepted responsibility beyond the call of printed assignment. Their actions and their performance demanded the respect of their seniors as well as their juniors. It is now required that you be the fountain of wisdom, the ambassador of goodwill, the authority in personal relations as well as in technical applications. Ask the chief is a household phrase in and out of the Navy. You are now the chief. The exalted position you now have achieved, and the word exalted is used advisedly, exists because of the attitude and performance of the chiefs before you. It shall exist only as long as you and your fellow chiefs maintain these standards. It was our intention that you never forget this day. It was our intention to test you, to try you, and to accept you. Your performance has assured us that you will wear the hat with the same pride as your comrades in arms before you. We take a deep and sincere pleasure in clasping your hand and accepting you as a petty officer, a chief petty officer in the United States Navy. Chief petty officers, seats.
XO, if you could join us up front. Unfortunately, the captain is still on travel, and he was unable to make it back in time. The executive officer is going to be presenting the frocking letters to our newest chiefs. From Commanding Officer, USS Pennsylvania, to Machinist Mate Chief James King, Machinist Mate Chief Derek Piper, Electronics Technician Chief Robert Bosarge, Electronics Technician Chief Aaron Mugenberg, and Electronics Technician Chief William Varnador. Authority to assume the title and wear the uniform of a Chief Petty Officer. Under reference A, Milpers Manual 1420-060, you are hereby authorized to assume the title and wear the uniform of a Chief Petty Officer, effective immediately. Your appointment carries with it the obligation that you exercise increased authority and willingly accept greater responsibility. Occupying now a position of greater authority, you must strive with a renewed dedication toward the valued ideal of service with honor. Under reference A, you will not be entitled to pay and other monetary allowances of a Chief Petty Officer until actually advanced to the pay grade for which you have been selected. Congratulations. Signed, G. Gutierrez, Commanding Officer, USS Pennsylvania. Thank you, XO. To commemorate this milestone in their career, the USS Pennsylvania Chiefs Quarters is honored to provide each one of our new chiefs with a plaque and a certificate to mark this momentous occasion. We've provided these over on the table over here so that everyone can look at them afterwards. Also, I invite you on this side of me, they have their boxes. These are vessels that they created during the course of the season, which shows their pride in what they're doing and which will hold their charge book, which is what they use to accumulate knowledge throughout the last 6 weeks and will carry with them for the rest of their lives. These become treasured keepsakes. Everyone standing before you now has one, and we are definitely proud and glad to have them, and you'll appreciate all the hard work that went into these. At this point, our fiscal year 2014 Chief Petty Officers will sing a song that has become synonymous with Chief Petty Officers, which is Anchors Aweigh.
Stand Navy out to sea, fight our battle cry. We'll never change our course, so vicious foes steer shy. Roll out the TNT, boom, anchors away. Sail on to victory and sink the bones of Davy Jones, hooray. Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to foreign shores, we sail at the break of day. Through our last night ashore, drink to the foam. Until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home. Blue of the mighty deep, gold of God's great sun. Let these our colors be till all of time be done, 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 done. On the 7 seas we learn Navy's stern call. Faith, courage, service, true with honor over all. Go Navy! Navy Chief, Navy Pride!
Ladies and gentlemen, we now present to you the fiscal year 2014 Chief Petty Officers. I invite you all to file by and shake their hands and congratulate them on this momentous occasion. Hoo-yah, and this concludes the ceremony.
do you want me